What's going on, my financial friend? It's your friend Jack here, and today we're going to be talking about some Canadian REITs that have a higher dividend yield, and it's going to be a good video, so stay tuned and let's talk about some Canadian REITs for 2021. So this video is going to be covering some Canadian REITs that are basically just good for a dividend portfolio for many Canadians, and I want to highlight some ones that are good for 2021. However, before we get deep into this video, I want to discuss the industries of REITs and how this may affect your decision when buying the REITs, because you don't want to just go in and buy a REIT just because the dividend yield is so good. Something to also keep in mind, which can help you make decisions very easily, is the industries of these REITs. If you did not know, REITs actually have industries which they invest their money into. There are some REITs that are diversified REITs, meaning they're in multiple industries. They have substantial holdings in multiple industries, but there's also REITs that are pretty much primarily just one industry. If you don't know the industries of REITs, I'm going to list them right now. So first we have residential REITs. Then we have retail REITs. Next we have office REITs. And then we have industrial REITs, healthcare facilities REITs. Yep, believe it or not, there's REITs just for healthcare facilities. Here in Canada, free healthcare is a wave, so there's a lot of healthcare facilities in need. And the last industry is hotel and motel REITs, which personally I'm not a fan of. And as you can imagine, office REITs, the industry I mentioned, office REITs, is not doing so well since COVID. Obviously they're coming back up now, but you can imagine all the virtual work being done. Office REITs have taken a big hit. So the last type of REIT, which isn't the industry, but is something I mentioned, a type of REIT, is a diversified REIT that holds some substantial amount of multiple industries. So they could have retail, residential, and office. Let's say they have 33% of each. That's a diversified REIT. Their majority of their shares is not in one REIT, so they are diversifying themselves, which also protects you. And REITs in general are another way to diversify your portfolio, because you're accessing that real estate side of the market without actually going and buying a house and stuff like that. So with that being said, and now that you kind of get the gist of where I'm going, let's hop into some REITs, and the first one is going to be a diversified REIT with quite a nice dividend yield and some promising future. Alright, and the first dividend we're going to be looking at is the diversified REIT, and H&R Real Estate Investment Trust, ticker symbol HR.UN, if you guys want to look into this. And right now we're on the past 1 day, and it's looking pretty weird, but let's go over to the 1 year mark, and over the past year they have grown 71%. Mostly because we're looking right now at the 1 year mark being, the crash pretty much. So the 1 year mark's a bit weird to look at, just because the crash happened about a year from today, or a year from this month. So it's kind of weird to look at the 1 year mark. However, when we look at the 5 year mark, we're going to see they're down 31%. And something to keep in mind is when this crash happened, they did cut their dividends. I'm going to go over that in a second. But as of right now, their dividend is still at a 4.73 yield, which is still really good. And it does give you access to a lot of the real estate aspect side of things. And if you're wondering what types of assets they're holding 43% of office in the industry of office real estate, 30% retail, 20% residential, and 7% industrial. So a good amount of diversity. Majority of their shares are in office space, and that definitely was a reason for the hit back in March last year. However, let's go take a look at their dividend history, and I have this a little bit too zoomed in right now, so I'm going to scroll out and let's center this. So if you can't see this right here, they did cut their dividends in 50%, by 50% of their monthly dividend back in the 5th month of 2020, which I believe is March, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I am mistaken. But yeah, so they cut their dividends 50%, but still 4.7% yield. And if we go over to their previous years, they were actually upping their dividend for many years before this. Every single year consecutively, they've been upping their dividend over time. pretty much since, I believe, go back here, for over 5 years. Okay, so we have a lot of change up here back in 2011, 2012. So they've been around the game for a while, and you can imagine why they cut their dividends back in March last year, because of the big hit, especially to office real estate. So I'm not saying that this is, just because they cut their dividends means ditch them. I think this is actually a good opportunity to buy in, get in low, and hold for a while longer, because this REIT probably will come back up, and they can always readjust their portfolio as needed. They are diversified. They aren't all in on office. So even if office does take a big hit over the following years, they can slowly diversify. And they also have other aspects of real estate invested, so they're not just in one place. So a good REIT for a good yield, you can buy them pretty cheap right now. And yeah, that's the first one of this video. Let's go into the second high yield REIT. Alright, and the second REIT for today's video is going to be Choice Properties Real Estate Investment Trust. And this REIT is ticker symbol CHP.UN. If you want to get into it, it is actually mainly hedged from Loblaws, or spun out from Loblaws in 2013. And that is one of their biggest tenants, right now. So moving on though, let's talk about which industry they're in, as that may be important to you if you were listening to the other part of the videos. This is a mainly pretty much 100%, not 100%, 81% of their portfolio, their income is from retail properties, 12% industrial, and 7% from office. So a very small fraction of office. When we go to their 1 year mark, they are up quite a bit over the year. It's been kind of up and down, but over the 5 year mark, you're going to see they didn't take as big of a hit, nearly, compared to the other diversified REITs that was mainly in office space. They didn't take as big of a hit because they only had 7% office space, and retail was still pretty in demand at the time of the March 2020 stock market crash, or the hit from COVID. Anyways, moving on, we're going to talk about their dividends. So their dividends at right now at 5.43% yield. They do pay monthly, as I mentioned. The previous one also pays monthly. All of these are going to pay monthly in this video. And yeah, they're up quite a bit over the past 5 years. It's been up and down, up and down, up and down, but they have been increasing their dividends for quite a while now, and they are part of the dividend aristocrats, meaning they have increased their dividends for more than 5 years consecutively, and they're still on that streak today. So they are on the dividend aristocrats list. Now, one thing to mention, we're going to go over to their page of their dividend history, is that they do pay monthly, as I said, but their yield is now at 5.5%, which is quite crazy, or 5.45. And they are selling for a pretty good price right now, nothing crazy. The amount per share right now is 6 cents, and then some per share, which is quite good for a $13 share. 5.45% is a nice annual yield, and that's yielding monthly $6 or 6 cents per share, which is really good. They actually upped their dividends here in 2020. A couple months after the crash, they upped their dividends, and we're going to go to the other years. They have been upping their dividends quite a lot. Right here, they did have some big dividend increases back in 2016, 2015, and as you can see here, they've been upping their dividend for a while, pretty much since 2013 when they lowered the dividend, but it is up now, and it has continued going up for quite a while. So quite good. 5.45% is a good dividend yield. And yeah, Choice Properties Real Estate Investment Trust, a good retail REIT if you want to get into that one. And real quick, last REIT we're going to be going to is going to be a different institution or a different industry, and let's go check it out. Alright, the final REIT for this video is going to be a retail REIT. Most of their holdings are in the retail side of things. Ticker symbol SRU.UN. This is going to be Smart Centers Real Estate Investment Trust, and this is the highest dividend yield of this video, with 6.86%, nearly 7% dividend yield. And real quick, we are going to go over their dividend history in a second here. They are a part of the dividend aristocrats, so they are doing fairly well for their investors. They are paying out quite hefty. And as you can see here, there's the hit, and it has been going up pretty nicely over the past year. We're at about 49% increase over the past year. And yeah, 5 years, it was doing pretty well, pretty stable, not a big growth stock, but with that type of dividend yield, it is pretty enticing for dividend investors, so not a bad stock. Let's go look at their dividend history real quick, and then we'll wrap up this video. So the dividend history is looking pretty good. They do pay monthly once again, and their cash amount that they pay per share is 15 cents. So pretty darn nice, 15 cents per share. It's pretty insane on a monthly basis. And we're gonna go to their history. They have been upping it for the past, I believe, I'm gonna go down here, over 5 years, because they're in the aristocrat. But I believe it has been pretty stable in terms of dividend income over the past 10 years, 15 years. But over the past 5 years, they have been upping it quite a bit. So that's good stuff. And it does look like it might continue to go up in the future. And right now they are recovering from the hit of March 2020. So they are doing pretty well for themselves, and not a bad investment. If you're looking for a really juicy dividend and that's your main focus, then this is a great company, or a great REIT, I mean. And let me read off some of their major tenants right now. They have 101 Walmart stores as tenants. Canadian Tire, another huge one, 73. Winners, HomeSense, Marshalls, Loblaws, Shoppers Drug Mart, Sobeys, Lowe's, Dollarama, Best Buy, LCBO, Michaels. So a ton of places, even Home Depot, PetSmart, Metro, Toys R Us. A lot of the ones I just read at the last few they don't have as many in those sections, but their majority of shares are in Walmart retail and Canadian Tire, which are two huge retail investments that are definitely doing well, especially during the pandemic. And especially Walmart being the main holding, that is a huge thing for me. I really look at that as kind of a safety net. Having Walmart as their main investment in retail is something that is huge and definitely worth taking a look into. And I might be buying this REIT on my next dividend weekly video, because I have been buying dividend stocks every single week and updating it on this channel. I've only done it once so far. I'm growing my portfolio step by step along with you guys. So if you want to see more of that, definitely subscribe. But that is the last REIT for this video. And I just realized right now that you guys couldn't see me doing this, but 6.85%, and here's the dates right here. I know it was off-centered for the other parts of the video, and I'm sorry about that, but nonetheless, smart REIT, SRU.UN, a good REIT, and that's the final REIT for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, keep earning, keep learning. It's been your friend Jack. Peace out.